Hi, I'm Hubert. I'm a developer advocate for StarTree. This is a special meeting here that we're going to have on real-time anomaly detection. It's probably one of the harder things to solve. And Madhumita is going to explain how StarTree's third eye can actually perform real-time anomaly detection. Take it away, Madhumita.
Hey everyone, glad that you all are able to make it to this session. Hope you find the session useful. And some of the logistics, I will start sharing my screen. I have a couple of slides, I'll go through that, and then also I'll dive into showcasing the demo piece. If you have any pressing questions, feel free to put that in your chat. I may not be able to see the chat, so Hubert, I'll rely on you. If there is a question that comes, you can
Absolutely.
probably stop me, or you can also respond if you know the answer already. So that's how we'll take, and then I have also dedicated time towards the end for Q&A only. So with that, let me share my screen. Hi everyone, just a quick intro about myself. I'm Madhumita Mantri. I'm a product lead at StarTree, working on StarTree Third Eye. It's an anomaly detection solution built on top of Apache Pinot. And StarTree team has taken the ownership of this solution. It was actually born and grew at LinkedIn, and it was open source back then. Then team felt strongly about making it valuable and usable to solve some of the real world business problems, and that's how I came into this product, started working on this product because of my long history back at LinkedIn. And I'm super excited about this space. And today I'm excited to even talk about some of the interesting trend changes that we are seeing and how real world business problems can be solved using automated monitoring and anomaly detection. So I will give a walkthrough of some of these key use cases, and to back those use cases, how it can be enabled through a solution, I'll be using Third Eye and Apache Pinot as a solution to kind of make these key use cases when it comes to life, how it looks like and feels like, and so on and so forth. Um, so that's about me. Apart from StarTree, I have also worked at PayPal, LinkedIn, Intuit, Yahoo, to name a few company in Bay Area. With that, I will dive into today's favorite subject. I always love to start with a quote. My quote for today is: in the landscape of modern business, anomaly detection is a keen to having a sixth sense. I feel like anomaly detection is kind of a sixth sense for me as well. And it's about seeing those invisible and understanding the subtle things, insights that are hidden, and acting on it before it unfolds. And that's the beauty of doing anomaly detection until it is too far out. So that's why it's very favorite subject to me as well. And I personally felt and experienced how the impact can be, how fulfilling, and how large it can be. And I'm here to share my experience with all of you today. So the agenda for today's session will be, I'll give a quick intro about real-time monitoring and anomaly detection. Also, I'll give a quick intro to how Third Eye and Apache Pinot is rightly positioned to solve this, as I will be using that, also demonstrating the key use cases. So it'll be a good precursor to that. And then I will be diving into each of these key use cases I've listed here, which is real world business problems. And many of you are either familiar or will learn today. And I've seen this live experience myself working with some of the users, and also have tried myself how I can see the value in these areas. And then we will wrap up with benefits and advantages, and then dive into the Q&A session. So without further ado, I'll get started with an intro, why it is important for solving business problems. So the simple answer to it is, when we are trying to solve a business problems, it is more about identifying those real issues that are impacting the business, right, and causing a massive impact in terms of revenue, cost, effort, and multiple other things, or it could be brand name effect. And spotting, it's always not finding the negative consequences, right? It's also finding those positive opportunities, which we most of the time ignore and do not pay attention to. And part of it also, spotting those positive opportunities is important to solve real business problems. Like if my business is suffering from driving a business growth, spotting the positive opportunities is incredibly valuable, and solving it will definitely help solving my business problem of growth. And the sooner you detect, the larger will be the impact and the lower will be the cost when you're trying to solve these business problems. Now, how do you solve? Like, to do that, you obviously have to monitor some of the KPIs that is indicating if it's a business problem or not. A good example is engagement. If I'm looking at my product is consumer facing, I have a better engagement or not. If then I will be tracking engagement metrics, and then that will kind of indicate if there are business problems or not, or it is rightly solved or not. Now, this being the reason why it's important, I strongly feel that solving these kind of business problems, spotting those real issues or spotting those positive opportunities is very hard when you're working out of a large data set and you don't have no visibility. And doing that in a manual way is really hard. And that's why I feel detecting anomalies makes your life a lot more easier. And that's why anomaly in business KPIs are important to find. And what is an anomalous event in a business KPI? It's usually tied back to unexpected spike or drop, but more than that, if it's a gradual change over a period, even spotting those anomalies are also equally important. And these anomalies in the business world happening for multiple regions, the reasons could be user behavioral change, or there could be simple as the data collection or processing has some gaps, or there are underlying system that has been issues, or there are seasonal fluctuations, right? In business world, it happens like right now, cricket matches happening. I'm sure there are it is blowing up certain clusters or applications because of the heavy traffic. And it's seasonal because it's not happening all the time. Of course, the example I gave of cricket match could be associated with an external event, but there are also seasonal fluctuation like Christmas time or any of the holiday that is like repetitive in nature are also one of the reasons why these problems could arise. And we know, if we know the reason why it is happening, we have a better control of things. And that's why detecting anomalies are very important to solve real business problems. Now, since we are talking about business KPIs and anomalies in that, I wanted to throw out some of the challenges associated with it. Like when it comes to monitoring, especially your metrics could be in different shape and form. It could be a stable time series metric, and most of the time the business KPIs are time series in nature, or any critical KPIs for that matter. And it may have a stable time series, it may have an uptrending time series, it may have an associated seasonality, or there could be like regular spike and drops. And finding the accurate anomaly is very critical and in a timely fashion, so that you can act on it on the right time. Now, the challenge is always getting the accurate anomaly and doing it in real time. There are a lot of solutions out there which are trying to solve for it, but doing it together is the interesting challenge, and which is what I will quickly brief touch based on this, how Apache Pinot in Third Eye is rightly positioned to solve this problem or trying to solve this problem. And then I will dive into the key use cases and demonstration of it that will connect the story better. So this is a good context to start to understand to summarize, right, what the real business problems could be, how you would monitor them, why anomalous events are important, and what kind of challenges you see identifying an anomaly in this space, because the nature of business KPIs could be very, very different in terms of when it comes to stable versus uptrending versus spikes and drops or seasonality. And with all these challenges, how you can be good at finding the real issues in in as soon as possible. So I believe most of you are aware what is Pinot, and I don't think so I'll do justice explaining Pinot in one slide. I attempted to. There's a lot of text involved, but those who are probably not familiar with Apache Pinot, I thought this will be useful. But if you're interested more learning about it, I'm sure Hubert is there online. He's an expert. He can answer your questions. Or you can also join Pinot Meetup, or there is a community. You can join that and get involved more. Uh, but why I'm talking about Pinot in this context is, as you saw, the vast variety of problems, business problems that exist, and with large scale of data, identifying those accurate anomalies, and with the shifting trends and things like that, it's not easy. And any like OLAP store solution goes through several like struggles. And luckily, Apache Pinot was built in such a way that it is a distributed columnar data store which works in large scale of data, and then does a good job in indexing and querying, and then it can also allow you to do batch streaming or real-time data source connectivity. So these are different advantages, plus it is highly performant, low latency architecture. The architecture is very scalable, fault tolerant, and reliable. Because of the strong characteristics, it is rightly positioned for solving some of the real-time use cases, and real-time monitoring is one of them. And detecting anomalies, what it means is always you're aggregating on a massive scale of data, trying to identify those outliers. And given the trends are there, you need to learn the trend quickly and then detect the outlier. With the power of Pinot, this can be achieved in a quickest and fastest possible time. And that's why I'm talking about Apache Pinot here, which is powering this solution, enabling this multiple use cases I will be demonstrating later. Okay, I don't hear from anyone, so I'll keep going. The next slide is intro to real-time monitoring and anomaly detection. Now that you have the context of Pinot, why Pinot turns out to be the effective tool for, or at least backend for real-time monitoring. So now you are somewhat familiar with it. I'm not going to read all of this because I've already covered. Now I'll take a quick example of a real-time monitoring, and I'll dive deeper later on for the specific use cases. This example is, and maybe some of you are aware, if you're not, most of the companies, they have certain critical metrics which is closely monitored by their business operations people, and because they care about the business overall and something going wrong with the business, they are laser focused in taking care of it ASAP because it has direct impact to revenue. So in this example, I've highlighted that this business operations team is trying to monitor the drop in food delivery orders, because food delivery apps are highly consumer facing and there are a lot of competition. If you lose to deliver an order, then customers can immediately switch to another app and start ordering from that food delivery app. So it's very, very critical when they are observing. Everything needs to happen in real time, but the real scenario, what happens behind the scene when somebody is detecting why this drop has happened, it's a very time consuming process. And the reason why it is time consuming today to get to the root cause and do the investigation, because there is only handful of people who are closer to the problem, they know what's going on, but it's like whole group of data users who are completely clueless why this problem is happening. And it's not a scalable model. As the data grows, company grows, and this model needs to be scaled and instrument or make our business owners more self-served, so that data teams can focus more on the innovation or building great solutions than answering to their questions. There's no straightforward answers, and this is the challenge behind like solving these business problems, but what it takes to solve these business challenges, right? So this being the challenge, now what's the solution to this? That's what comes to our mind, and there's a solution to it. And that solution can very well empower also the use cases I will be talking later. And then that will clearly highlight how anomaly detection is so instrumental in solving the right problem. So the solution to this problem is, as I talked earlier, the challenges with business problems, and you need to monitor the KPI. So it starts with the automated monitoring of those KPIs and identify the anomalies in an automated fashion by applying certain data science algorithm and then finding the actual insights. Imagine if all of these are automated, then it's a more of a cruise control way of detecting anomalies in a business KPIs, and business teams can be self-served. And if they have issues or challenges with respect to any KPIs or any system, then you can be the thought leader out there. But most of the time, the service overload or the customer support overload or stakeholder support overload is taken away from you. So this was the inspiration behind building something like StarTree Third Eye, which was built on real-time monitoring and anomaly detection solution. It allows, with the power of Pinot, it allows to connect to real-time or batch streams. It has some out-of-box proprietary algorithm, data science models works. We have seen so far works the best to detect outliers in business KPIs, the different forms of like trends of KPIs that I had given a walkthrough before. There are models in it that addresses that easily, and then to it like kind of apply the right business context and get the accurate results. And then this interactivity part, which earlier also I covered, like what could have caused the spike or drop to happen, and providing those insights are always useful. Will instrument you to solve those business problems in a quickest fashion. So the first thing is you need to detect those anomalies as quickly as possible in your business problems. Second is, do you have insights to take actions? So these are the two things that I will be also focusing on, the key use cases that I'm going to give walkthrough of that, and then I'll also show a quick demonstration of this. So I will dive into the key use cases and live demonstration of each of these use cases. The first one over here, the use case that I will be covering is store sales monitoring for e-commerce retail stores. So it's a very typical problem that every e-commerce retail stores have. They have store sales happening across like different time zones, sorry, across different regions, across different stores. If you have a large number of stores, then obviously the data footprint is very huge, and identifying any anomalies in real time could be tricky. And especially when you're looking at this large amounts of data to analyze the customer behavior and customize your sales strategy to suit your customer preferences, it's not an easy game. And Pinot has this cutting edge analytics capability that helps you to make better decisions. So it by detecting or identifying anomalies or outliers in these data sets, a huge data will help you kind of stay ahead of your competition if you are doing that and your competitors are not doing that as an e-commerce retail store. And you can be rightly positioned to increase your sales and also have higher customer satisfaction as a result. So quickly demonstrate that how we have done that using third eye, especially enabling this particular use case. Let me open the link. I think I was struggling to click on the link. Okay. So I'm not demonstrating right now with how you play around with the tool. If you're interested, we can share more resources to you later on. You can also try a free trial environment, enroll for it and try this product. But for now, my focus is more about how real business problems can be solved through anomaly detection. So in this case, I have already pre-configured an alert that is going to monitor the store sales across different regions like AU is Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and a few other countries I've listed here. And it is monitoring the store sales and detecting outliers in it. And as you can see, it is plotting the trend, which is the blue line is the actual trend, and the green line is the detection algorithm that has kicked in, learned the pattern, and the data being powered by Pinot. And it has learned the pattern, plotted the green lines, and also came up with an upper bound and lower bound. Wherever it is crossing the upper bound and lower bound, it is detecting as an outlier. This way, it is trying to control the false alarms and only accurately detecting the anomalies that are more accurate than too noisy in overall. And I'm not going through the details, but this software also allows you to adjust your upper bound, lower bound, be more flexible, and adjust the sensitivity in terms of whether you want noisy alerts or less noisy alert. All of that you can do. But in this case, since I'm monitoring say AU, Canada, and New Zealand and other countries, I'm interested in this AU pattern, and I just noticed there is a, when I was looking at, there's a significant deviation here. There's a huge spike in store sales. So I'm just curious, is it erroneous, happen just like that, or there's a definite reason? I'm just curious behind like what drove this spike. So I'll drill down and investigate further as an analyst if I'm trying to analyze further about the spike, and if I'm working closely with business operations to provide them more insights than what all I can do to provide them the right insights. So
We do,
third eye, you know,
yeah, we do have a question from Victor. If you
oh,
have,
sure.
yeah,
Go
what
ahead.
yeah, what characteristics should one pay attention to when performing anomaly analysis in big data?
Yeah, great question. You're so to understand your question, I'll just repeat and say if this is right. So you're asking what kind of characteristics you should care about in your data to do like right anomaly detection. Is that what your question?
I want to know what characteristics I need to pay attention when I make some analysis on big data or the huge quantity of data, because there is a lots of how can I say that? Um, there is a lot of variables that can change the results. So, what is important when we are analyzing some huge quantity of data?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's again completely depends on your business context and how you are modeling this data. That is very much important. For anomaly detection, you need to have a superstructure data. That's one of the prerequisites you need to be aware of. What does it mean? Now, in case of store sales, if you are interested looking at store sales spike across, say, let me quickly dive into and explain in this example. So in this example, if you can see, the summary comes from like which product and the store location and customer this spike is coming from. It's kind of like indicating that. So these are the different characteristics as a business owner I care about. As it's I mean, if you're a different e-commerce retail store, your needs might be slightly different than mine, but it all depends on how are you modeling this data set. So in the data set there is dimensions and metrics. Metrics are the one which is the aggregates or the numbers, like total number of sales or average count or some percentile. These are metrics which are more numeric in nature, and the dimensions are the underlying, like you can call it as characteristics or features or columns in the data set, and how your data is kind of distributed across these dimensions, right? So when you are thinking of designing a good healthy anomaly detection system, or at least solution, you need to pay attention to also data being the big part, because if you are doing garbage in, you're garbage out. But how you are modeling the data, are you doing the right selection of features? It is completely dependent on your business and what your business is trying to solve. So in this example that I picked up, the store sales owners care about which is the sales channel from where there could be a possibility of increase in number of sales orders coming from, or where is the product where the demand is more, so that I can ensure I have enough supply for that, or which is the store location, the spike is coming, that means more people are visiting that store, they're placing more orders there. Now I have to make sure those stores are well equipped to sell or meet the business needs that is arising there. Or there is warehouse, like from this warehouse is frequently getting more orders. That means we have to strengthen our relationship with that warehouse further and make sure that we are connected well to serve our customer needs. So these are my specific problems as a business owner when I'm thinking through the retail sales order use case. You need to first understand what are the business problems you are trying to solve, and then apply it to a data model. And you have to structure your data model in the way that you have metrics and dimensions rightly configured. And then on top of it, doing anomaly detection becomes a lot more easier, and it is more accurate because it's mapped to the business context. So in summary, these are the characteristics I will look at when I'm solutioning. So starting with the business problem and how I can translate that to a data, and then structuring the data well, and of course making sure data is high quality, and then detecting anomalies by applying several algorithms.
Victor also has a second question.
Yeah.
In the case of Third Eye, does it use machine learning, statistical analysis, or some other analysis technique?
Yeah, great question. So Third Eye uses statistical detection algorithms, but there is a caveat to it. I don't call it as statistical, I call it as data science models, and it's slightly different than ML models. And why I'm saying data science also, there's a reason. If I say just statistics, then you would imagine it's a mean variance, or it's simple percentile or absolute change or threshold based change. Of course, we support all of basic functionalities, but we do much more than that. When I say we do much more than that, we have some of the advanced data science algorithm. It doesn't need a lot of data to be trained, unlike ML based models need a vast amount of data to train, and it is expensive and need also a lot of knowledge and expensive in ML infra. But all those things are honestly not necessary with my experience working on both at a beginning of Third Eye. ML solutions are only needed in certain use cases, like for example, you're trying to monitor your model health performance and you have some deep learning going on there. Then ML model is useful. Or if you want to be very predictive about your modeling and trying to forecast and all, then it makes sense. But if you're like simply analyzing your business problems and trying to find a solution for that. It's more, if you think about, it's more, what is more involved in there is the heavy nature of data analysis, aggregations, which is what business problems try to do most of the time. And what I've seen in my experience, data science models give the best result with the lowest cost involved. And it's also easier to maintain. Of course, if you are using third eye, you don't have to worry. All of that, it's already taken from you. You can just simply apply it. Also, the beauty of this one is you can plug your own models as well. If you are advanced developers, have your own models, you can do that as well. But it also does both. But to go back, we do primarily data science models, and we have seen the best ROI from that, and that's why we have invested more on that. Again, it's not simply out of box data science algorithm, although there are some out of box data science algorithms we support. But in addition to that, we have also proprietary algorithm. As an example, Prophet kind of algorithms, which looks at your history and then predicts what the anomaly going to be. It does take into account the seasonality part or the noise levels and everything. So we have proprietary algorithm to do that effectively on the seasonal trends that I was showing earlier. We have also proprietary algorithm if you are working out of clickstream data, which may not be as streamlined, but we have algorithms. Again, it is also a data science algorithm, not ML, doesn't need any deep learning. And if there is no decision metrics involved, I don't see a huge need of using ML. And we have seen, in fact, better accuracy results with data science model. We had poor accuracy when we were using ML model, and that's why third eye primary focus is to use data science models. Of course, this is not the end state. We will not end here. If we see a need or rise of ML model in future, then we will. We have, at least the architecture is very flexible to get there. But right now, that's not the focus because of these reasons, and it is providing a good ROI without any of those. And it's something I also always tell, like, if all the problems to be solved by ML, not maybe knowing the use case and then which solution fits the most. And 80-20 rule, if I apply, I found in solving business problems, data science models have paid a lot and performs better. Great questions, Victor. Any other questions, or I will continue with this?
That's all for now. Thank you.
Okay, great. So yeah, I mean, we briefly talked about the retail use case. And as a retail owner, if I care about these things, this is how I'm going to model my data and monitor the retail store sales and then detect outlier in it. And further to it, I can also associate events if there is an outlier happening. Like as I was talking about, it's an event framework that's available. You can bring in your custom event. We also bring in automated way if you have chosen that option, all the holidays across different nations. So you can also quickly analyze the spike is because of holiday, or there's a campaign you're running. There are multiple campaigns run, then which one might be contributing to the spike. In this example, if you can see in-store campaign has probably the most impact on the spike, because around the time it started and ended, the spike was observed. So this is how you can come to a conclusion that the in-store campaign kind of resulted in the increased number of sales for that store. And it's coming from in-store primarily. So that means this campaign seems to be highly performant for in-store users. So maybe it's worth trying out again if we want to increase the sales. So these kind of decisions users can make by getting those insights. And once you have came to those conclusion, you can finally capture. So you can always go back. I didn't save, but you can always go back and save your investigation. Say you can add to the investigation, and ultimately you can review all looks good, you can put your comments here and then save. And most of the time you share with your stakeholders who are going to take the next set of course of action. In this case, the campaign team will be informed, and they should run the campaign further, extend it to if they want to increase the number of in-store sales. So this is a good in-store e-commerce sales order problem, where in this example I'm spotting the positive, but you can also spot the negative in terms of the drops that I was talking about earlier. So these are the drops. You can also equally like investigate the drops. We always also ask for feedback from the user. If that looks like an anomaly to them, then they can further investigate and where the drop is coming the most from. And then you can further debug and try to understand. The red ones are kind of things that have dropped significantly as compared to the last week. In this example, the warehouse has dropped significantly. Warehouse NMK 1003, that means it might be running out of supply. There could be something seriously going wrong there. So you may want to address that based on those insights and take the next course of action. So this is how you can use anomaly detection to solve problems in real time in e-commerce store sales. So next key use case I would this something is my favorite too, because rideshare, I'm a pro rideshare user, and also I'm a pro food delivery user. So that's why I touch base on these problems, and now anomaly detection can be instrumental. It's again the same thing on the same platform, but you can put the data. It all depends on how you're crafting your data and putting in there. And the same experience you can use to solve multiple business problems. So in this case, this is a rideshare data I have. I'm monitoring the hourly wait time by ride types. And if there is an increase in hourly wait time, my problem is how I can reduce the wait time as a business owner and provide a best rideshare experience for my end users. So that's why I'm monitoring this wait time. And the wait time could be contributing for several reasons. It could be there is a traffic congestion, or there could be less demand of supply of drivers for that particular ride time. It could be a lot of things going on. So what I'm doing is I'm monitoring across 3 different type of ride type I provide to my user: economy, premium, and shared. And I'm closely monitoring that. This is real time. So I want to monitor every minute or every hour if possible. In this case, I'm focusing with hourly granularity. And most of the time it looks pretty decent as I look at the overall picture, but there are few anomalies in that hour, and I'm going to pay attention to that, what is going on. There's a constant increase in spike. That means spike is not good here, because it's wait time increase, and this is happening for premium. So I'm curious now what's going on. I'll quickly drill down and look at what is happening, and I'll go ahead and investigate further and look at from where the spike is coming. Sometimes spike is healthy. In our previous use case, it was healthy, but in this case, spike is not healthy because we don't want our customers to wait long for a given ride type. And when I look deeper, I see that there's a specific ride type, which is premium, of course, and then the device type iOS. So people who are booking from mobile phone, and driver rating 4 seems to have a spike or increased wait time. That clearly tells that maybe in that area where people are trying to book ride type of premium type, and with driver rating 4, there are not enough drivers in that place. That gives a clear signal as a business owner to me. And if I'm competing with like other rideshare companies, then I better act on it ASAP so that the business come to me than going to somebody else. And this is how I can solve my business problems. You can also visualize this data in different forms. Heat map is a great form of looking at and what's happening across my rideshare data. other dimensions, how they are performing. It's iOS is the only problem or Android has a problem. In fact, like Android has this visualization is giving me good insights. Android has less wait time. So people who are booking from Android has less wait time. What does it mean? That means maybe the software things also playing into picture where Android calls are going faster and able to connect with those drivers network quickly as compared to iOS. And maybe iOS has like rolled out some changes and that's causing this issue. It's not a driver problem, it may be more of a software problem. That's interesting to know. And if I look at the locations, there's increased wait time in San Francisco where it's not much in New York. That means maybe there's something going on in San Francisco, there is this traffic surge, or demand has increased, or some events are going on. These are the different insights you can get then to get to a real event, associate with a real event as a next step, and find get to the root cause. And this is bunch of like holiday. In this case, we have pulled in. You can also, if it's just a holiday event that is causing this spike to happen, you can do all of that and then relate, and then eventually you can submit or share your problem, what is happening. So in this example, I had done a previous investigation before and saved. This is the beauty of investigation, that once you complete, you can share with your colleagues or stakeholders, or you can revisit later. So in this example, I had identified that this was the top contributor, which was contributing to the spike. Sorry about my Slack going crazy. Let me turn it off. It might be noisy. And if you can see the next, the heat map, um, sorry, the events heat map we already looked at. I found that around that time there was a holiday that was kind of causing a surge in number of requests for prime premiums right there, and that's why then unusual time, also the unusual time, and that's why there was an increase in wait time. That's what my conclusion was. But it is again, if you are the business owners, you probably have more business context and you can apply that context very easily to get to the root cause. So this is the ride share example. I will pause here and see if any questions before I go into the fraud detection. I'm sure fraud is another interesting area and a pain point to detect anomalies and solve fraudulent use cases. Okay, if there is no questions on this one, I'll move on to fraud detection monitoring for transaction failures. In this example, this use case is particularly geared towards if a bunch of transactions, it could be e-commerce transactions, it could be fintech transactions, there could be multiple regions, and where the fraudulent activities can be happening, and how you can monitor those fraudulent activity. And when there is a surge, usually it could be a norm also for many companies, these fraudulent activities happen and people know on an average this is the rate. But if it is beyond that, then how to detect the accurate fraudulent detection is very, very important. Most of the time it is noisy as well, and that causes more problem than less, because people will start ignoring and then it's not good. So our effort here is to like track accurate fraudulent activities. Again, like you already, I've given the walkthrough of why it can be it can detect accurate results. I will quickly go dive into one of the anomalies and just walk and share more insights, how you can know it's a fraudulent activity or not, and then how you can instrument your fraudulent inspection team with the insights so that they can further take action of blocking the user or doing something about it. Or if it's not a fraudulent activity, they will say, no, it's good to go, kind of thing. So in this example, I have modeled the data in such a way because I'm trying to detect fraudulent activities in the transactions. And the main culprit usually comes from the payment method. And there are different types of payment method. Are my users are using MasterCard, PayPal, and Visa. I want to monitor across these payment providers which one has the most or more number of fraudulent activities going on, and why. Part of reason could be many of my users use MasterCard as compared to PayPal. Maybe there are few people using PayPal. That's why there's less fraudulent activity. Or it could be that there's right distribution among the three, but maybe PayPal has a better security system, and that's why lesser fraud detections are happening. So
We have a
this,
question.
yeah.
Yep. The third eye allows manipulating time windows in the data being analyzed, whether you want to analyze it as a sliding window, tumbling window, etc.
Great question. So third eye, again, third eye is built on top of Pinot. So how you are modeling your data and storing the data in Pinot matters a lot. And there's a timestamp column, which is where you can define at what granular level you can store the data. Then it comes back to the aggregations, at what frequency or granularity you want to do the aggregation. So now, if you're talking about sliding window versus at a given timestamp, well, it does more sliding, but there is always first time, one time when you are creating an alert. For the first time, it does it take into account um, right from the starting data point till now, what are the anomalies, and it does at one time. After that, you schedule your anomaly jobs at a certain frequency based on your need, whether you want to schedule every 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 1 hour or more than that. And based on that, with the, say, I ran the anomaly detection program now, and then after 3 hours, the next one runs, or after an hour, the next one runs. Then in the subsequent runs, it is more sliding. It looks at the delta instead of looking everything. So, but again, it all depends on how you are modeling your data and storing, which is the timestamp column is the key for it. So if you want to go more granular, then you should store the data more granular level. Like you should pump in the data more frequently. If you want to do daily, then probably not. You can also ingest the data once a day, and the timestamp could be more in the daily pattern. And your anomaly job can also run on daily basis and grabbing that. So that's what it is. I hope I understood your question right and answered it right. Okay, so continuing with the fraud monitoring use case. So in this case, I'm trying to make those assessments in terms of which payment provider is troublesome for me, which from payment provider is not, and if somebody is troublesome, why they're troublesome, and if it is the users more or it's the card problem, that will give me a good understanding of whether it's a fraudulent activity or not. So in this example, I'm trying to detect anomalies and outliers. Of course, the source to it also is the right modeling and structuring of data. I have that. And then now I'm trying to find whether it's a fraudulent activity or not. So I noticed that for the MasterCard, there is a bunch of activities going on here. So I'm interested in further debugging this, what's going on. And I'm interested in like this spikes mostly. So I'll debug and click on that, why the spikes are coming and from where. So I do notice that there's a specific IP address, customer location, and browser version and information is there. And from there, the most of the spike is coming. So there's something suspicious happening in this. So let me look at the heat map and see what's going on. I can see like there's a huge spike in the tablet, and order state is constantly going, like at least last two have been failed, and debit card failures have increased. Credit card, although there is one, but more debit card failures, less of bank transfer failures, which is a good sign. So these are kind of like way to read my insights to come to a conclusion that is this a fraudulent activity or not. So the science indicates there's definitely something suspicious going on. So now the next step is to associate an event and see if there's any connectivity in what's going wrong. So when I try to associate with an event, there's bunch of holidays. Holidays could be also a reason why people will use their cards more, and maybe they are run out of their limits and that is causing failure, but not necessarily a fraudulent activity in general. I can map that. In this example, I also noticed that there's a log that is coming, like some changes have been done to any user account. So I'm interested in this, looking at if there's an overlap. And interestingly, there's an overlap. So this is again, I'm not 100% sure whether this user profile change, which looks like in this case, some of the profile contact details have changed. And if that is kind of a fraudulent activity or not, I'm just suspicious about it. So I can always add to investigation and then go back to the investigation and add my comments here and share it with my fraudulent inspection team, who have more closure side of looking at if this change is a valid change, the user profile change, and the spike is valid or not. But at least instrumenting with this is the reason why the spike is coming, will help them to make better data informed decisions. And also you can possibly prevent a fraudulent activity in your transactions. So that way it's very useful to monitor these transactions and detect outliers in it to find fraudulent activities. So that's the fraudulent use case. And again, it's an interesting business problem. Good part is, like with use of third eye and Pinot, it's not super customized to a one particular solution. You can see multiple of them, like just detects fraudulent activities, but not doesn't solve for others. But in this case, like you can address multiple business problems as long as you know your business context very well. You're able to model it and feed it into Pinot, and then it's matter of applying the algorithms on that data and detecting anomalies through a point and click experience. And that's what third eye makes it easier for you. So overall, in net, it is helping you to solve some of key business problems with least amount of time. And also with Pinot, it is making it possible to work on large scale of data and still be highly performant and also fast, as fast as in real time. And for fraudulent detection, I'm sure all of us will be very well aware that real-time monitoring is extremely important. Same thing for driver wait time. Never pleasure to keep waiting. And as a business owners, I don't want to lose business either. And store sales is another example, which are all very much data heavy solutions where you have to mine the data a lot to detect an outlier. There's different signals or parameters involved, highly complex. As Victor was asking, like what are the characteristics? Characteristics can be very convoluted based on your business use case. Like for fraudulent, you may be looking at several things, like which location, which browser it is coming from, which card type it is coming from, or which like customer it is coming from. There are multiple things that you are interested in looking at, and looking at all these and then detecting outlier in this complex data at a much granular level. It's not an easy game, and luckily with Pinot and Third Eye, this is kind of possible. Nevertheless, I think the meta point is you could solve real business problems with real-time monitoring and anomaly detection. That's the point I'm trying to put across. With that, I will move into my next use case in this example, A/B testing effectiveness. Now, most of us are familiar with A/B testing. That's also another interesting business problems to look at. As if you are a consumer heavy company and you have large group of users using your product, you're trying to learn their usage pattern, behavior pattern very frequently, and you're also experimenting new experiences frequently. So you need to run a bunch of A/B tests. And all of us know that A/B test is very expensive. At least to reach the statistical significance, it takes quite a good amount of time. And sometimes the main scarier part is the effectiveness of this A/B testing. How reliable is this A/B test is? And that's where many companies struggle with. And how we can increase the reliability of A/B testing effectiveness is something can be achievable through real-time monitoring and anomaly detection, and also in a few how. But quickly, to precursor to that, A/B test results you can store in a data set, and say control and variable, and you are tracking say conversion rate for a given feature rollout. You can associate with the conversion rate for each of these A/B test type, and then see if there is a fluctuate in the conversion rate is because of the control versus variable. As long as you can clearly tell, that helps build the confidence on the A/B test, reliability of the A/B test, and that way you can make the decision sooner than waiting for a significant amount of time achieving the statistical significance. So this is the benefit. And this way, if you are able to detect an A/B test is reliable in a quickest fashion, that also helps you to increase your experimental velocity. And you can, as a consumer company, you can stay relevant, competitive by frequently experimenting and launching features that is needed and highly characteristics of any typical like consumer facing company to stay ahead of their competition. So let's take a look at this example. In this example, I have a data set that has both A/B test type, control and variable distribution. And I'm looking at the conversion rate, which is also part of this table. I was able to pull in the conversion rate and make it as one part of the table. Of course, if you have a conversion rate stored at a different place, other way to solve for this is you can monitor conversion rate instead. If there is a spike or a drop with the conversion rate, then I was showing you earlier the events framework. You can leverage that and pull in your A/B test logs there and see if any conversion rate is associated with the with that particular A/B test result. And that's how you can tell like the effectiveness of A/B test result. If there's a spike in conversion rate more, that means your variable is working well. And in this case, I have done slightly different, where I created a derived table where I'm getting the A/B test data and also the conversion rate, and then combining and putting it one data set. So that makes my life easier to monitor this separately. And now I'm looking at, for this control, there is a rise, but I think around the same time, let me take a look. Interestingly, while control is showing a rise, variable is showing a drop. That means maybe the variable is not performing well, and maybe this is the variable we don't want to launch. So let me dive into further detail to see what's going on. And once I say, yes, this is anomaly clearly, and then I want to understand further why is that so? So I can look at, and here it is clearly telling me that device type desktop has the most drop, and there's also username and few other details provided. So that means the variable that is targeted to desktop and to this specific user group has the most drop. Now I can look at the heat map further to understand what's going on. So the device distribution, if I can see, mobile is doing strong, tablet is okay, but the drop coming from desktop, which is interesting. And it's also coming from the location more in USA as compared to other locations. So and interestingly, there are other characteristics that are there where the drop is coming from. That means maybe in this case, like there's a gender part of it. Also, these days, we are trying to focus a lot on building softwares that are more inclusive in nature. and say for whatever reason that is not meeting the need, that is clearly telling ahead of me that maybe the variable that we are launching is not suitable for certain type of profile, and that's what this insight is telling. And with this I can make an informed decision that I need to either do something about the variable sorry, if there is a changes that have been really like recently rolled out, or there's an holiday or daylight saving, any external factors are also contributing. If not, then maybe then the variable is not performing well and I need to do something about the variable. As per the insights look like device desktop and then certain gender type are not doing well, that means maybe the experience needs to be improved for that set of user profile and meeting that user behavioral needs. And that's how I can improve my software experience. And also now with these insights I can confidently tell my A/B test is more reliable and the drop is valid and I need to do something about this A/B test. And I'm learning faster, failing faster, and also my experimental velocity has increased, so I can do more of these more confidently. So that's what why also detecting anomalies in an A/B test nobody can think of otherwise is also extremely important, and how it can instrument you to help you to measure the A/B test effectiveness and reliability by using these techniques. So pause for a second. I have two more use cases to go, then I'll dive into benefits and advantages. Okay, if there are no other questions, then I will continue with the remaining use cases I have very quickly. I should not be taking a lot of time. These are very straightforward. The second one is a website traffic monitoring for consumer product, which is a very typical scenario for any consumer product or any company. In fact, if you have a marketing page or a product page where your traffic is coming and you are monitoring your web traffic for that page, then if there is a sudden spike or drop, you want to know the source from where the traffic is coming. It could be that you have made an announcement which caused the traffic to go to your website more, or it could be that some external company has done a referral of yours, something like that. That could be triggering to website traffic. And knowing that these events which are more effective will help you to decide your event strategy or your other promotional strategy or marketing strategy to drive more traffic to your website if that is your goal. And in this use case, that's what I'm focusing on, and how monitoring and anomaly detection can instrument you in making those decisions very easily. That's what I will be focusing on. So let me pick up the example and let's dive in deep. So I have a data set already that has these inputs. Of course, it's not a very enriched data set. It has very simple dimensions and metric is here the traffic count or new user registrations, in fact. And my source is different channel group, like whether it is direct, organic search, or organic social, or paid search. If there is coming from some paid campaign, knowing that will be better. So I'm monitoring. Usually looks like it is pretty stable all throughout. But recently I saw there's a spike for, especially for direct one. So I'm curious what's going on. And I'm going to investigate it further, why this anomaly behavior is there. There's definitely nothing significant. It is trailing me in terms of top contributors. So maybe there is none. Now I look at the heat map and see, since my data set is not as enriched, because I only cared about which channel group the spike is coming. And that's all I cared about. I didn't care about the other elements. But as we were talking earlier, based on your business context, if you need more dimensions or characteristics, you have to model your data accordingly. So in this case, I've kept it really simple. And then next phase is about mapping an event, associated event with that. So there are a bunch of holidays. This anomaly is happening around 31st October. So let's see if there is something suspicious going in there. There are a bunch of things going here. Let me plot everything and see if any of these have contributed. Looks like these are the ones which is more closer to the problem. So that means some of the holidays that has happened, not this one, but the recent holidays that have happened that has caused kind of or daylight saving trend change that's kind of causing the fluctuation, looks like. So that gives you a good insight like why your web traffic spike is there. It's primarily nothing to worry about, but there was a daylight shift change and that contributed on showing web traffic in a different time and creating an illusion of okay, there was a spike. So that's how you can also investigate further. Like if there's a campaign running, you can also associate with that, or you can pull in other events that might be contributing to your website traffic, and you can correlate this way to get to the root cause. And then obviously the sharing factor is easily enabled. You can share that information with your partners as well or stakeholders. So that was about website traffic monitoring. My last use case, I will be giving a walkthrough of all those are interesting business problems, and we can't ignore in the world of like ad tech. Ad is everywhere, and important pain point is how to measure ad ad campaign performance monitoring. I myself have ran a lot of ads and always worry if my ad is running well. Is it performing well? Is it getting me the right metrics? I don't see it unless like that completes, and then sometimes I learned it late. By the time it is too late, I would have overspent as a user or things like that, and which is not good for me. I'm losing a lot of money, and it's a real business problem if you're doing that at scale for an ad tech delivery company. Then obviously this is your bread and butter, and knowing the performance will increasingly or hugely help you to drive your revenue margins. So now let's take a look at how you can measure ad performance using like monitoring and anomaly detection. So in this data set, again, I have double click information from Canada, US, and I'm also comparing against overall how the impressions or things working on or where is the ad campaign source coming from. Likewise, and usually this is again a very stable data source as you can see, but when double click Canada, I can see there is a spike, and the spike also kind of happened the same time in US as well. And it's interesting to see the same type of spikes are or anomalies are happening around the same time, and obviously overall will reflect that because at a granular level that's already happening. So now I will investigate it further to see why in this case it's like constant spike is happening. So why is that so? And then how I mean that means there's an increase in number of clicks. It's exciting, but I also want to make sure that those are valid and not bot related or something like that. So I would like to see, and seems like as part of top contributors, ad campaign size medium has the most uplift. That's interesting to know. That means probably the ads I'm placing in medium size campaigns are performing well as compared to the small or all other types of sizes. So this is interesting. I would like to store. And then I'll go to heat map. Heat map doesn't tell me anything interesting. Yeah, of course, like these are already told by the top contributors. The double click has a increase in number of clicks. So that means the exchange rate double click has a role to play. You can further drill down and look at within double click if anything interesting you can see. Ad campaign size medium seems to be larger impact as compared to others. You can always do those dimension drills and then store your result accordingly as you're continuing to investigate further. And this is where you are also looking at any events have happened around the same time. And I saw two events log here, product catalog change is one and API failure. So it looks like one of these could be also contributing to the spike in terms of clicks. So that means either a API bug, because of which it is false, triggering the number of clicks, or it could be also because of the product catalog change, something interesting now we are showcasing in our ad campaigns, and that is also helping to that's also causing the spike. So this is how you can measure the ad campaign performance. And again, going back to Victor in the beginning, the question you had, how to get the most value out of third eye kind of solution, and solve specific business problems. I think the it starts from the problem, right? In this case, like my problem statement was ad campaign performance. Now, if this is my problem statement, what are the signals I need to look at to make an informed decision, with respect to how those signals have changed over a period of time? And that's what exactly we are instrumenting in the examples. In what we are looking at is we are trying to monitor different ad campaign sources and where the clicks are coming the most from, and then monitoring that, detecting outliers in that, so that we can rightly pinpoint the problem, and then maintain the ad campaign performance accordingly by taking necessary action. So that's why anomaly detection is very, very critical, in my opinion, to solve some of these interesting real world business problems, which are more real time in nature and has large data to play. And it's any human or manually doing this is not easy. You need sophisticated automated solutions, and solutions like Apache Pinot and Third Eye is one of them, which can instrument these kind of use cases easily. And if you are also bugged by solving these business problems, but no straightforward solutions for you at hand, I'd highly encourage you to explore some of these, because this is going to be very instrumental. All you need to do, of course, mapping your business context to the right model. That's what you need. And rest all, as you've seen, like it's very seamless to use and apply. So I'll pause here. That's the whole set of key use cases I wanted to go over today. In next section, I want to spend some time of benefits and advantages of why you need a real-time and anomaly detection solution. What's the pain before and gain after? And also some of the cost savings at a high level. Like if you have a solution like this, what kind of cost savings you can anticipate? So quick highlight of benefit before and after I try to lay it out here. If you're trying to solve real world business problems, and if you're trying to solve it through real time monitoring and anomaly detection, then you need to be aware that the pains associated with this is most of the solutions are not real time. If you try to real time, it turns out to be expensive. And most of the time, finding those accurate anomalies are also extremely hard. It tends to be false or noisy, and that's not going to help either to your users, or if you are the platform owner or engineer of the solution, then that makes it even tricky or harder. And also, this large scale data, as the data is growing, you need to scale very easily. That's also not an easy deal. Transparency is very much important. What's going on in data, like looking at granular level, more details. That's also not easy for any database to share that kind of insights. Like say if you're just using MySQL in a backend, of course you will struggle with getting some of these answers. And also if there might be code heavy solution involved, like I've seen a lot of people writing Python, cleaning up the data, again writing the algorithm, generating, again iterating, and finding the accurate anomalies through code heavy solution is not scalable, not optimal, or good use of anyone's time. And it's also end of the day expensive monitoring system if you're not doing it right. So I'll highly encourage to look after the Apache Pinot. I have strong faith in it, and have seen how Third Eye works built on top of it. You feel free to try both. The gain part of this is it has definitely considered all these pain points that are listed that anybody will typically face if you're trying to monitor those real world business problems. The gain is you can do more or less in real time, not if not exactly real time. And then accurate anomalies is one big part because of the way you can structure the data and model the data and store the data. It's already allowing it to create that highly structured data, and allows you to every instrument you with all the things that are needed to provide a good quality data to detect anomalies, and that results in accurate anomalies. Of course, this accuracy also involves how you can apply your business context swiftly to your anomaly detection solution, like for example seasonality, or like filtering out weekends, things like that. That's also very well taken care. Besides, it has a low code no code experience. You can also make data informed decision looking at those insights in real time at almost in a real time, because you're not spending a lot of time in querying those massive aggregation and against this massive data. And plus you're able to monitor different types of time series, which I covered earlier, because Apache Pinot is a columnar store and it is making very easy, and it has a smart indexing system that makes it even more promising about this time series um, analysis with dimension level granularity. Now, a quick summary of like how data teams can do more with less with this kind of solution. And data teams, I mean, it's not going to take away somebody's job or what they are doing, but it's just augmenting them and making them productive. Because as a data scientist or an engineer or analyst in a team, you are serving your stakeholders constantly. There are constant questions. Half of your time or most of your time goes in customer support, which of course none of us enjoy that. And this problem is trying to take away that pain from you so that you can better focus on more high leverage work as compared to just responding to your customers. Even though you're responding to your customer, you can still leverage this tool and do that very quickly. Then you're trying to find everything yourself. The system is doing a lot for you and giving you the hands of you, and you can translate that information, share with your stakeholders. As I went through all the use cases, I always ended up with sharing the investigations details with your stakeholders so they can make informed decisions. So that's why I feel like using this solution can do more with less. And that kinds of brings down to the cost savings. This is a sample cross saving calculator doesn't mean like this is exactly what you are going to save. It is dependent on the case to case in terms of what is the hour you're spending, how it is tied to dollar. And if you're saving that dollar and using that dollar for something good, that is a good part to see. And that's how anomaly detection solution can be high leverage for your business and for you also as platform or development teams. You can gain a much of productivity gains and work on high leverage work instead of spending your time in low ROI efforts. So that's what the cost saving part. Briefly want to touch base on that. Those are the advantage of using an anomaly detection solution if you're trying to solve a real business problems that I had highlighted before. Now, that concludes my whole presentation. Open up for Q&A. I have also shared the community link, and then there's a free trial. If you're interested, you can try. You can also talk to us by joining the community. If you have more questions, feel free to ask your questions there. And if you found this useful, highly encourage that you should explore further by visiting StarTree.ai, and there's a Docs Hub link. So you can learn about the developer documentation and how to use any of this software if you're trying to solve some of the interesting business problems. You can always explore and learn more.
That was a really informative presentation. Really enjoyed it. If you guys want more information, again, there's a recording is going to be up in a couple of weeks. There's also a link in the chat on the right hand side there, as well as the QR code available that Madhumita provided. but if you guys have any other questions, I welcome you to direct those into our community Slack. And I hope you guys have an enjoyable good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
You guys,
Thank
bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.